So your family moved to Los Angeles in 1954.
Christmas Eve.
That scares me that you're not done in Arkansas. Do you remember the move to Los Angeles? What it was like and how you got here?
Yeah, my uncle and my two nephews. My uncle drove trucks, and they already came from Eudora and moved out here.
You said your uncle and your two nephews or his two nephews?
No, his two sons.
Two sons, okay.
Which was my cousins.
Right.
Yeah, excuse me.
Okay.
Did all the siblings come out together at one time, or was it a few at a time?
No, it was
that's a
like
lot to
7
bring.
or 8 in a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the furniture.
So you guys...
We was all in the back of the truck.
So you went through elementary school in Arkansas, right?
Well, in Arkansas, and then here I went to Mount Vernon.
Oh, okay. Cause yeah, you.
Me and Merrill-Monty, me and Russell. Went to 3 different schools, elementaries.
Did you miss Arkansas?
Not really, because there was so much here to do. And I knew how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was burglarizing, stealing.
When you got here at 9?
Yeah, after I got here and found out how to run the streets, I started burglarizing. To get money, to get food, to get clothes, to get something different.
So you went to 3 elementary schools.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I'd be fighting.
You'd have a fight and they'd put you out of a school. Why do you think you were fighting?
Well, when we got there, they called me country. So I was from the country, and they always be talking. I ain't going for it. They talk about how my sisters and them dress, and I'd go upside their head about it. And they talk, I wasn't into that woofing. Because you talk about me, hey, that's it. Then when we moved here, he held an upstairs, she had Richard, Mr. Renfro. He was a welterweight boxer, so he was training his sons. Then his son would be kind of training me, but he used me for the dummy. But that's how I learned how to protect myself. Then when we moved over in 58 in Slausons, couldn't nobody really handle me because I knew how to get out. And some of the older guys couldn't even whoop me. So I had a little rep. Then it was like 2 blocks. RL, he came out of Texas and he could throw. And he ran one side of 58 and I ran the other side.
How old are you?
9.
And you all are running neighborhoods?
Yeah, well, we was running blocks.
Blocks?
Because when you go past the park, you had to fight them because you wasn't from the park.
And you had that was none of your life in Arkansas, was it? Nothing like that?
Didn't have that. It was digging up, taking care of the gardens, feeding the hogs, the chickens, stuff like that.
What was the biggest difference you saw between kids in Arkansas and kids in LA?
They'll fight you and talk about you.
In Los Angeles?
Yeah.
You remember the first time you had to defend yourself?
Wow. Not really. Because I was having little scrimmages going up.
In Arkansas?
No, in California, in Los Angeles.
When you first got here?
Yeah. Well, you scuffling and wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And after I learned how to box, I didn't have that. People found out I knew how to hit and where to hit you at. So they left me alone. I didn't have to, I really didn't have to show my stuff except going into different parts of Los Angeles. As
neighborhoods?
As I grew up. I go there with all of the crazies and ones who knew how to fight. I didn't have to worry about them. you know, because they knew how to fight. We wasn't never trying to compete. But some of the other little homies come in there, where you from, what you doing? And they start drinking and want to get crazy, and I have to show them, you know, I'm the psychiatrist.
Who were your friends when you first got here? I mean, obviously you had Mr. Renford and his sons.
Richard and Danny Renfro. Well, Danny and Richard always went to the park, South Park, so I'd go with them. And I grew up around them, you know, South Park. Then we moved over at 58th, and that's when in 55 we moved to 58th Place. That's when by the summer of 55, and we started the Slausons. That's when we became Baby Slauson and stuff like that. But in between then was all of that running in 58th Place, then going by the park, finally going to the park, being part of the park. Then from there, it just, you know, went into something different.
You go into the park, and South Park, the Slausons are hanging out there.
No,
Okay.
that was growing up. When we moved in 55, we moved to 58th Place.
Okay.
And that was now Slauson Park.
Okay, Slauson
On
Park.
62nd and
Was it called Slauson Park?
then, so what, Bethune or something now?
Yeah, you know,
Oh, it was called Slauson Park.
he lived in a different area when he was going to South Park.
Okay, so Slauson Park, and when you're at Slauson Park, this is when you meet Chinamen.
Yeah, Bobby Moore, Chinaman. Well, Bobby Moore was when I got into the park. He was like the Flying Coffins was the club he had. And when we became Slauson, he became a warlord. He changed it into the Warlords. And I was like that little mascot because I was too young to get into it at the time. You know, I was about, 9, going on 10. Yeah, 10, 11. They were like 12, 13, and 14.
Which was the first one? The Flying Coffins? The first sort of gang or neighborhood club in that area?
Or is that the first name attached to people who hung out at Slauson Park?
That was the younger ones that hung out at Slauson Park. It was the Flying Coffins.
Okay.
So they were first.
They were the first.
They was the first little set from the park.
Okay. And who was in that? Bobby Moore.
Bobby Moore was running it.
Where did Chinaman fit into that?
Chinaman was the older Slausons. He was one of the big Slausons.
So Big Slausons comes before Flying Coffins?
No, they came after. Chinaman, where he came in at was him, Big John, Roach. Chinaman said that since we were all battling each other, right? He said we gonna start fighting each other, and we were gonna be Baby Slausons, they were gonna be Big Slausons. That was in the summer of 55.
Groups.
It's different age groups and different streets, different sets.
In the park.
In the park, from around the park, from the village.
And you guys used to fight each other, but then
Well,
later on
you'd be
said,
going through the park, you had to fight somebody at the park because you wasn't from the park. Then if you go to school, you got to fight somebody from the park, maybe you're from the school or from somewhere other than where you from.
I've got to ask this as a woman. Why all the fighting? I just want to know, what were they fighting for?
Just to see who could win.